All right, hi Anton. Welcome.
Thank you, Thomas.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
Uh, if there will be, if there are three things or three words that you would describe yourself, what would those three words would be?
Um, so curious,
Okay.
uh, analytical, and curious, analytical, and okay. I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared with this kind of case. But first thing, curious and analytical, then calm.
All right. All right. Hope you can prove these in the case. So, uh, our client is pharma company, and it's a large U.S. pharmaceutical corporation. They research, develop, and manufacture drugs across a variety of therapeutic areas. They have recently finished developing a drug to treat arthritis. Arthritis is a degenerative joint disease that affects the joints and surrounding tissues. Common symptoms of this disease include joint pain and stiffness, swelling, and decreased range of motion of affected joints. The company expects that the drug will get FDA approval soon and be ready for launch into the new market. However, they are not sure what price to set for the drug. The CFO has hired you to help with this. What should the price of this new drug be?
Thank you for that case, Thomas. It's a very interesting situation. So our client is a pharmacy company, and they've just developed a new drug, and um, uh, and it's a drug for arthritis. They were active on 3 markets. Was that the case, or
Uh,
only the domestic market?
uh, we're mainly. Oh, are you asking what's their market? Because this drug is not in the market yet. They just developed the drug, and it's going through the FDA process, which
Okay,
is the approval process of the drug.
I see.
And once it will be approved by FDA, then they're able to sell the drug in the US.
Okay, I see. And and their question is at what price?
Yeah,
they
what
should
price
sell.
they should sell? Yeah, that's
Okay, thank you. Can I have a minute to structure the the solution?
All right.
Thank you. Okay, so in order to decide how to price the product, we first have to decide if we're going to price it after our costs or after the value that the product gives to our clients, and anyway, we have to cover our costs uh, and and reach our objective profit.
Mhm.
So I would like to look into the costs that our company has,
Mhm.
and are there any financial objectives in terms of break even or a payback time or any
Mhm.
any goal related to the profit?
Uh, they currently don't have a goal. The only goal is to, to make as much profit as possible. Uh, but are those the only two considerations that you would want to look into, or are there, could there be any other potential segments that might be interesting for us to evaluate before actually jumping into costs and the pricing.
Yes, so I would also want to look into the market and how they solve. I mean, the competition and the potential substitutes. How do the patients inflicted with this disease solve the problem today, and what is the value of our product to them, and what would their willingness to pay be? Is it the customers that pay for the end customers that pay for our drug, or is it the federal state?
That sounds good. So let's first focus at the competitors. And so I have a graph for you. I will, just before I handle the graph, I want to explain that that's the graph, and we are a pharma company right here. And the safety risk is how safe it is to take the drug. The more safe it is, that means less side effects, and potentially the customers, have less of a probability than, for instance, dying after taking a drug. And efficacy is essentially the effectiveness of the drug. So what does this graph tells you to?
Okay, so this is our company, right?
That's us. Yeah.
So this graph, what is, by the way, the size of the dot?
What do you think?
Perhaps either the market size or the variance in effects.
So actually, this one or this graph is just one market. So the market size would be the whole thing, but the size of the circle is the amount of revenue that each company has currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. So what this graph tells me then is that our company is rather small compared to the competitors, but that it has a very effective drug. In fact, it has the drug effectiveness is not the highest, but next to the highest, and it's split with competitor B. But it also has the lowest safety risk, which is probably a very good thing. I don't know what the side effects could be, but so to summarize, our company has a very efficient product, and its safety risks are low.
Maybe what does it tell you about the price, though, when you look at the prices of various drugs? Because we're looking to actually eventually set the price for our drug. What do you infer from this graph about our price?
About our price or the general pricing strategy?
Yeah, about our price. What's, for instance, the boundary our price should roughly be at? To have an idea.
Yes, I see. So a reasonable. I mean, it should not be lower than competitor B seems to do well, and our product is as efficient but less, but has less risks associated with it. So I would propose a price higher than $80.
Do you think is there any cap on above, or is there no cap?
The prices seems to range between $50, or they range between $50 and $100. So probably not too much higher than $100.
But you think there is a possibility to price over $100 or not?
I think there is a possibility, depending on how the customer values efficiency against safety risk, because this our competitor has a bit more efficient product, but it also has a higher safety risk.
And how would you determine that?
How the customers value.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I would I want to know what the safety risks are to start with.
But I mean more practically, what would you want to do if you would want to determine this information?
Okay, so I would like to speak with physicians and how they value how they value these aspects of a drug. Is it a prescription drug, by the way?
I have no idea. I don't know yet.
Okay, but if it was a prescription drug, then I would speak to physicians mostly. If it's one that you can buy in the store, then it's not up to the physician to make the call. So then I would go out and speak to people with this disease and ask them about the product that they are currently using and what they think. I mean, what they would, if they would rather want a more efficient or less. One with less risks.
Yeah. So, given what you've seen in the graph about efficacy and safety risk in a previous question, how do you think our client should market or brand their drug? You know, what differentiates it from for other drugs out there? I can show you the graph back. It is more about brainstorming how we can approach the marketing campaign, for instance.
Okay, so brainstorming on how to.
Or what should our value proposition be to the customer?
So I see two potential strategies. One could be to market it as a very efficient product, but one that is also safe, and mostly compete against competitor B and D. Then another could be to compete against A and C, and market it as a more efficient but just a safe product.
Okay, and which kind of marketing campaign do you think would be most efficient? Like would you want to use billboards, for instance, or would you use TV ads? How would you approach the marketing task?
Okay, so I think that's very dependent on whether it's a prescription drug or if it sells in ordinary shops.
Let's assume it's a prescription drug.
Okay, so then I think it's reasonable to assume that physicians make informed decisions. So then I don't think that TV commercials, first of all, they wouldn't they target a much too big audience, and secondly, they're too superficial. So I would like to meet physicians and for them to meet salespeople from the company.
Yeah,
because they're the ones that actually make the call.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. But let's move on into the cost side that you wanted to investigate before. So our client wants to break even within 5 years, and it has invested 4 billion into this drug, and each drug costs pennies to make. So we don't need to consider the costs, and we can consider the cost of drug production to be a negligible amount as well. And we don't know the number of customers in the US market, so you will need to determine that through market sizing, and assume that pharma company will have 20% market share of the arthritis drug market once they launch their drug, and assume that someone with arthritis will take the drug twice a year.
Okay, thank you for that information, Thomas. So just to make things clear, about the profits and the costs. So the production costs are negligible.
Yes.
They want to break even in 5 years.
Yes.
And they had 4 billion in development costs.
Yes.
Okay, and then you want me to calculate the market size and.
Yeah, I will need to calculate the market size. And of course, I still, the ultimate goal is to determine the price. So that's that they will be able to capture 20% of the market. and also that someone who has arthritis will take the drug twice a year.
Okay, so I would like to start with calculating the break even.
Maybe let's just start with the market size.
Okay, sure. So, do we have any information on the base rate of this disease in the general population?
No, no.
Okay, and does it differ across ages?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's mainly older people that has arthritis.
Okay. So there are 320 million people in the United States, and assuming a linear distribution, we have in each segment. So 0 to 20, 21 to 40, 41 to 60, and 61 to 80. We thus have 80 million people in each segment.
Yes.
And is it reasonable to assume that only the people in the age group 61 to 80
let's assume
have...
that past 40, some people past 40 can develop arthritis.
Okay, so if we first look at...
And we are looking, roughly 5 to 25% of people can develop arthritis. But you also need to assume that not all the people that develop arthritis actually take the drug against arthritis.
Okay, so what do you mean that 5 to
25%? Yeah, and it's up to you to determine. But usually, the older the people are, the more prone they are to arthritis. But I just wanted to give you some sort of range.
Okay, and this is across all age groups.
Plus 40. Plus 40.
Okay, so actually I have no idea about this, but let's say 10% in the lower age group developed disease, and 25% in the...
Let's just go with 20, but that sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, 20.
For easier calculation.
Okay, so then that means 8 million people with arthritis in this age group, and 16 million in the older.
Okay.
And there are 0 in the other ones.
Yes.
So this is the number of potential customers.
Yes.
And do all of these customers take a drug?
They don't.
Do you know the percentage?
No, that's up to you.
Okay, so
it depends on maybe your marketing campaign, how well you can, persuade the customers. But I would say generally more than 50% will take the drug, but the actual number is on you to determine.
Okay, so let's assume 60% takes the drugs then.
Okay.
60%. And then we arrive at a market size of 4.8 million. So let's just say 5. And then 10 millions approximately in the older age group. And we'll have a market size, a market share of 20%. Is that related to the price or the number of customers?
No, it's not. It's not related to the price. It's by the quantity of the market that we will be able to capture. So
okay, so 20% of the customers, and then in each age group, we'll thus have 1 million.
Why do we still segment it by age group? Because for us, customer is a customer.
Yes, it has no value to it, but that's just how I structured that.
Okay. Because it could be simpler, if you would just add the numbers together and then do the percentages just once.
Okay, yes, twice. Sure, we can do that. So we have 15 million potential customers, and 20% share of these, so that makes 3 million customers. And did you want the...
I wanted to break even, actually, the break even analysis.
Okay. So now we have the amount of customers. They each use it twice a year.
Yes.
So that's 6 million sales per year. And so let's see. And we want to break even in 5 years. So the profits are the costs minus the revenue minus the cost, and in 5 years we will sell 30 million. We'll have 30 million sales at price P, and our costs were 5 billion, right?
That's correct.
So...
Oh no, actually, did I say 5?
It was 4.
4, yeah. 4 billion was the price, or the investment.
So this gives us this makes the price that we should charge, given the price and revenue cost equation, that the price should be 5 billion, which were our total costs, divided by 30 million, which is the same as 5,000 divided by 30, so 500 by 3. And so that's 33, about $66.
$66. You sure about the number?
So we have the price, the profit, which should be 0 in 5 years in order for us to break even, and the revenue is the number of sales times the price.
Yes.
And then the costs were, now I used 4 billion. So then we have 4 divided by 3 times 100. Which is 0.33. Okay, so then we arrive at the number of $133.
That sounds better.
Okay, and so there's the price, and we have the market size. And that was what was asked for.
Yes. So what does this number tell you? What does it mean?
It's significantly higher than the competitors.
But I mean more about what the 133 represents, or like why should we price at 133?
Okay, so this is the price that will make us given our assumptions about the market, that will make the investment break even in 5 years.
That sounds good. So let's just move into examining different customer segments' willingness to pay. And let's say there are 3 segments of customers, each with a specific maximum that they're willing to pay for the drug. for a given customer, I'll actually, you can write a note, but I'll then provide you with a graph.
Okay.
But for a given customer segment, if the price of the drug is set above their maximum willingness to pay, the customer segment will not purchase the drug at all. Let's assume that we can only set one price point for the drug, which is the price all customers see and pay. We cannot price the drug differently for different customer segments. From the prior exercise, assume we have 3 million customers, right? You came to conclusion, and the break-even price was 133. Yes. So, given the information that I will present you here, what's the price point that the drug should be priced at?
Okay, so based on this, we can calculate potential profits from each price point, and given the higher price point, so let me just 1, 2, 3. So if these are the price points with the lower, the middle, and the higher price point, and let's look at the pricing at the highest price point first. Then we'll charge 500. Is that per drug, I suppose?
Yeah, it's maximum willingness to pay. Yeah, for.
Okay, so given we price at 500, then, but then we'll only sell to segment 3. So our total revenues will be 30% of 500, which is 150.
Would this be certain? Like, would you think we'll be able to get the whole segment at the price 500?
The whole segment?
Yeah, because that's the max. That's just the maximum willingness to pay.
Yes. So I thought the segment was homogeneous.
Yeah. No, I was just because you just multiplied the numbers, right? But that's just the maximum willingness to pay. That's, for instance, I would compare it to when you go to buy a phone, right? You say, "Oh, I'm gonna buy a phone till $1,000," but in the end, you might opt for a phone that's for $600 because you feel like that's a better phone. So you think we will be able to capture the whole market segment number 3? Based on all what you know about the drugs, about the different pricing of the customers, of the different companies.
Just to intervene, if you have to leave, it's totally fine.
Yeah, it's fine. We can do. It's like almost closing.
Okay. So, but this doesn't have anything to do with the market share, as I see it.
Yes.
Because it's this is merely about the segments and their comparative sizes.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So should I assume that the distribution is somewhat linear and that would average that we would be able to?
I just wanted to test how you understand the graph.
Okay, I understand the graph as the segments being homogeneous.
Okay.
Is that?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
That? Okay. So and then, given that, given our numbers of 6 million sales, and 30% of them will be to customers in. 20% will be to customers in segment 3, and we'll charge $500 each. Then our revenues will be so 1,000 million per year.
What 1,000 million is?
Well, 1 billion then.
Okay.
Okay, and if we charge at the middle price point, we'll be able to capture additional customers, and these customers are, by the same logic, segment 2, so that's 30%. We have 6 million sales in total, and 30% goes to segment 2, and we charge 200 per drug, which then which would then make so 2 million. Sorry, so this would be 2 million times 200, so 400 million. And if we charge at that price point, we would then okay, now I realize that I did a miscalculation. So what our revenue will actually be will be segment 1 and segment 2, and we'll sell everything at $200. So that means 6 million times 50% times 200, which is 3 million times 200, so that's 600 millions. So 0.6 billion in revenues. And if we look at the lower segment, our total sales would be 6 million times, and that's a whole, everyone then, times the price, 110, which would then be 660 million.
Okay.
And based on this, and not taking into any ethical considerations, I would propose the higher price point.
So if the CEO just walks out into a room and wants a quick answer, what should the price for their drug be?
So the price of the new drug should be $500.
Okay.
$500.
Okay.
And the reason for that, there are 3 reasons for that. But they'll be able to have the highest revenues from that price point, and given that they only have fixed costs, they will thus have the highest profits.
Okay.
And it's thirdly, it's the price is above their break-even price, which is 133. So they will reach their break-even goals.
All right, and you're okay with that? The price Arthur's drug for $500, when the lowest, the closest competitor's drug is at $100.
So it's
and
very,
it's
very
roughly, and the effectiveness of the drug and the risk of the drug, if you remember the previous graph, is somewhat similar. You think still it's good idea to price at 500?
So it's a very bold assumption. I mean, it's a very, not an assumption, it's a very bold statement, and I would like to further look into this market research that has been done. But as I understand it, and if the market research is valid, then I would recommend that pricing point. But then again, I would before pricing, I would want to look further into the market research, because it doesn't sound sane to price it at 500 when the competitors price it at 100, below 100.
So what's your final conclusion?
So my final conclusion is to price it above 133.
But I want just a number. Just give me a final number.
Okay, so I would then price it at 133, because one, it will reach the goals in terms of break even. It's based on the analysis that that we have done, and on the market research, we'll have considerable profits, and thirdly, it's a reasonable price compared to our competitors.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.